And we're back. The hammering of a fist against the door feels like a nail being pounded into my head. Once, twice, 3 times I let out a long, annoyed breath and bear it while pressing my eyelids shut, fervently hoping for whoever it is to just go away. I feel pretty damn awful. My face feels like it's cast out of lead. My arms feel heavy and I feel very queasy. It's been like this since I woke up half an hour ago and I can't summon the energy to pick myself up out of bed. So this is what they call a hangover. I wonder if perhaps this is the best treatment for teenagers who desperately want to try drinking as a way to feel like an adult. Considering how unpleasant this is, it's not something I want to repeat. A series of thumps ring out again, reverberating around the small room. I wish they'd just give up already. I have no intention of getting out of bed for them. Seconds pass, turning to minutes, since no more knocks are coming from the door. Whoever it was must have left, thank goodness. Looking at my clock, the time when I really should think about getting dressed and ready for class is approaching. I don't think I could manage it, though. I hate cutting class, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get much done at this rate. I could tell I look like a mess without needing to look in the mirror to confirm it, too. The morning rush has given me enough time to stand outside the classroom for a little while without looking too suspicious. I hope that Muto doesn't ask any awkward questions about my not attending school yesterday. I was sick, that much is true. It's just the reasons for it that I have to hide. Confident I can get away with a tactical omission of certain truths, I stride into the classroom doing my best to appear normal. The instant I open the door and take a single step in, I can feel a dozen eyes looking at me. There is no way I'm imagining this. They're not even making any attempt to hide it. My eyes take a quick sweep around the classroom, and I spot Hanako. We make eye contact momentarily before she looks down and stares very hard at her desk. Did she spill the beans? Muto may be okay as far as teachers go, but underage drinking on campus is not exactly something that would be taken lightly. I look to him with some trepidation. Feeling better today? Yeah, thank you. He motions for me to take my seat, my legs feeling like sticks as they carry me there. This is going to be a long day. As soon as the lunch bell rings, I'm on my way to Hanako's desk to ask her what's going on. Hanako, did you tell? She looks up at me and shakes her head. That's a big relief. It's just... Hello there, Hee-chan. It's nice to see you again today. I grimace and turn towards the unmistakable voice coming from behind me. That was way too upbeat a tone to feel comfortable, even from Misha. Misha's happy smile is nothing out of the usual. Shizune's, though, is a very bad sign. The one she wears has become notched into my brain as her "I've got you 7 ways from Sunday" smile. Hi, Shizune, Misha. You, look happy to see me. Not feeling well yesterday, Hee-chan? No, I wasn't, but I'm feeling better now, at least. That's good to know, Hee-chan. Why do I get the feeling that Shizune is leading me into a trap? You sound like you're not being completely serious. Oh no, Hee-chan, we're genuinely pleased that you're all better now. Shizune is positively overflowing with happiness. There's only one reason why she would be like this, oh no. In fact, we were quite worried about you after all. You, Hanako, and Lily were all absent from class on the same day. Yep, she's got us so thoroughly that all I can do is sigh in defeat. I guess you have your own theories about this. Could you just kinda not tell anyone? It's a bit late for that, Hee-chan. I suppose she's right, considering the looks I got as I entered class. Still, things only seem to be at the level of vague suspicion rather than outright accusations, so we'll probably be fine. Hanako's face sinks a little further. Such attention is troublesome enough for me, let alone for her. Going by Shizune and Misha's reactions, I think they notice this as well. Yeah, the only reason we're giving you such a hard time is that you ignored us yesterday morning. Yesterday morning? It takes a while to recollect what happened then, given the haze induced by the generally awful state I was in at the time. Alright, the knocking. That was you too? It was, and you left us there for ages after we'd taken all the effort to come into your dormitory early in the morning. Oh, sorry, I was having a problem with nausea. They're not buying it. I can't blame them. Shizune's head drops in resignation before she reaches into her pocket. Something white and yellow can be seen sticking out a little, and as she pulls it out, it turns out to be an envelope with very bright decorations on it. Since she points it towards me, I duly take it. This is what we were trying to give you, Hee-chan. You don't check your... I tune out the sound of Misha's voice. My eyes register what's written on the envelope. Iwanako, yep, it's this again, so we'll just skip through that when we get to that point. Stare at the envelope for a moment before suddenly remembering that there are people around me. That's a very strange, somewhat invasive feeling about their expression. I kind of want to be alone right now. Iwanako? It's nothing. Thank you for bringing this to me, you too. I should think so, after what we went through to get it to you. I step back and say my goodbyes. Misha theatrically pouts even as I go out the door, but Cheese and Hanako remain very visibly curious about my reaction. I hope they don't interrogate me on this later. The smell of the gardens is, as always, a very pleasant sensation. Some of the most visible signs of how well-funded the school is, aside from its sheer size, are the expanse and condition of the grounds. A good number of students can be seen eating lunch, chatting, and playing on the bright green lawns. Even some of the staff is enjoying the summer here, keeping watch over the students and idly walking along the long concrete paths. I've never seen a sight like this in my home city, on excursions maybe, but certainly never in the school or anywhere near where I lived. Even the bench I sit on to read is warmer thanks to the summertime sun, reminding me of why I haven't worn the school blazer even once yet. Considering this, the sunflowers and splashes of vibrant yellow coloring adorning the paper are quite appropriate for the time, if only the words written on it were as well. Here I was thinking I'd manage to get over her when this troublesome thing shows up. Her handwriting looks vaguely familiar at best, and only now I can see it again. I remember that she used to write in pink pen a lot. She was almost very girly, for lack of a better term. She is also quite fragile. I never knew if I liked this aspect of her or not, though with the arrival of this letter, that question seems to have become largely moot. The letter begins with not so much more than an update on the state of things going on in her life. My old class school year, many are anxious about the exams, blah blah blah. Yes. Alright, well, let's just skip through that. So nice, neat, tidy, no ambiguity. Illusions are big and new. The last time she visited me, neither said a thing, except for the one word she's for the last time goodbye. But as it may, this feels more final, the capstone to an experiment that both of us tried and failed at. A loud shout draws my eyes away from the letter. It's just some student horsing around, with one of the teachers standing nearby coming over to talk to them. Are you okay? A tentative voice comes from my side. For a moment I assumed to be Hanako, but it's actually Yuko. Oh, hello Yuko, I thought you'd be in the library. She gives a cheerful smile, one quite fitting the atmosphere, and flourishes the empty wrapper of her roll in her hand. She must have someone else covering for her while she grabbed something to eat. Oops, most fell off the screen. It reminds me I haven't had anything to eat yet. I don't feel hungry, though, and skipping one lunch won't hurt. Mind if I sit here? Sure, go ahead. Who's sending me something on Skype? Whatever. I quickly slide the letter back into its envelope, slipping it inside my bag, propped against the side of the bench as Yuko takes a seat. She drops the wrapper into it. Actually, I should probably check who that is. Oh, it's him. Ah, scheiße. I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see that. That's not good, but oh well. I quickly slide the letter back into its envelope, slipping inside my bag, propped against the side of the bench as Yuko takes a seat. She drops the wrapper into a bin beside us. Without much else to do, I lean back and take what enjoyment I can from the sun, silently reflecting on the letter. The lush lawns, the clear blue skies, everything looks so different from the way it did back then. Even the school surroundings, from the hill it's on to the woods around it, are completely opposite to the urban scenery I remember. Maybe this is what it's like to feel homesick. Then again, it's not an outright bad sensation. The feel of the area around Iwanako, while very different, is also nice. I think I get used to it. Hey, Zao? Yeah? You didn't answer my question from before. I wasn't going to say anything, but you still look troubled. If you don't want to say anything, though, that's okay. I don't mind at all. Sorry for asking something strange like that. I don't mind. It's just I got a letter from someone I knew before I came to Iwanako. It made me think about some things. Thought I'd managed to get over most of the problems that my accident caused, but now I'm not really so sure. I kinda wish I'd never seen it. I don't think that's good, Hazao. When my boyfriend left me, he did so very suddenly and never let me know why. At first I was very depressed about it, but I decided to forgive him. You forgave him, couldn't he at least have talked properly with you about it? He was always one of those people that found it difficult to come close to others. In the end, I decided that I fell in love with him for a reason. He was a good person, and I think if I had been in his position, I would probably have found it just as hard to try and talk to him. I don't really see the connection to the letter I got. I mean, how should I put this? It must have been very hard for that person to send that letter, and if they did, I think they must have thought very hard about exactly what to say. Iwanako managed to write this letter and bring a final close to a relationship, something I'd never managed to do. Whereas here I am, trying to protect and help Hanako as best I can, especially with Lily leaving for a while. I'm not even able to deal with my own problems. Does that make sense? She's taking my non-response and furrowed brow with doubt. She really reads faces too much, just like a certain other person. Yeah, that makes sense. Literally just kind of a shock, really. I think I'd tried to fool myself into thinking that my life reset when I came to Iwanako. Now I'm suddenly aware that it didn't, and I'm at a bit of a loss how I should deal with these feelings. I think that's something I can't really help you with. I'm sorry. It's fine, I think Being able to talk with you helped me get things sorted out a bit better in my head, so thank you anyway. She nods and smiles sweetly. Yuko is a nice girl, so it's a shame she's so highly strung so often. The school bell ringing out startles us both. I was supposed to be back before the bell. Oops. She jumps off the bench and almost races off without a second word, but turns on her heel as she remembers she was talking to me just now. I'll see you later, Zhao. Cheer up, okay? I'll try to. Thanks, Yuka. With a quick bow, Yuko takes her leave and begins her rush to the library. Her flight catches the curious eyes of a few passing students who are enthusiastically trudging back to their classes after their fun. Reluctantly standing from the bench, I dust myself off and join them. Even while I walk through the gardens back to the main building, the thought of the letter in my bag doesn't stray far from my mind. Alright. The feeling of walking through the streets is one of very deep nostalgia. While Iwanako may be like the reverse of where I've lived in the past, the city at night is amazingly familiar. My eyes are moving constantly from the bright electronic screens glowing in the night sky to the street lamps piercing the darkness with their light, to the businessmen enjoying themselves after work and busily talking couples on dates. Even if I didn't want to, I can't help soaking in every aspect of the city. I savor its familiarity like a sweet candy sitting on my tongue. Lilia is walking to my left with her cane swaying to and fro, holding onto her sister's arm for guidance while talking to her. Compared to traveling by taxi or bus, being driven by Akira in her rather nice car was a much more enjoyable experience. Maybe not for the person on my right, though. While Lily was used to her sister's driving style, and I quite liked a bit of excitement, Hanako was holding very tightly to the door for most of the trip. Everything looks so pretty at night. Hanako quickly looks down yet again as she accidentally catches someone's gaze. Yeah, it does. My answer isn't very thoughtful, since I'm distracted by so many thoughts that I find it hard to keep up on small talk. One of those distractions, aside from the city lights, is how Hanako looks. The first time I've seen her in something other than her school uniform or pajamas gives me pause when I first saw her outfit. When we met up at the school gate, oh, that's right, he only saw her like this and Lily's route. Considering how much her head is lowered when people walk near us, I imagine that the hat she wears is more than a fashion statement. While initially I was wary of Lily's plan to take us out into the city, when night fell, it became obvious she had thought about this. Not many people have paid Hanako much heed since the darkness hides her scarring well. So, we're in the city. Any ideas on what to do? Akira beams a smile. Something tells me she's the one who's making this particular decision, even if her sister may have proposed the outing in the first place. You'll see, just follow us. I nod and try my best to stifle a grimace. After what happened during Hanako's birthday party, I don't trust Akira's judgment all that much. We keep walking and I notice that we're passing more and more cafes, restaurants, and other eateries. Every once in a while a drunken man in a suit comes out of a bar, usually being supported by another, but for the most part the customers around this part of the city look young and fashionable. Different kinds of music come and go as we pass by each business. The discord created by the overlaps should be grating, but it reminds me so strongly of the times I spent in the city with my old friends that I don't mind. Hanako and I have started to drift a little apart from Lily and Akira, and that comes to a stop when I hear a soft thud from beside me. Sorry. By the time she rights herself from her apologetic bow, the middle-aged businessman she bumped into is walking away after mumbling a half-hearted apology. Hanako looks a little put off by the experience, and as she quickly skips ahead to match my pace, I notice her head hang low once more. She probably bumped into him because she was looking downwards, not where she was going. I step to the side and put one hand on her far shoulder, drawing her closer. Hey, Zhao? It's okay, you can walk closer to me if you want. Hanako hesitates, but eventually nods in assent. After a couple of times when I thought we had arrived at Akio's destination, we reach our target, but now we're below the elevated walkways and past the most garish and brightly lit places. I'm a bit surprised. The average age of those around us is distinctly older, and the smell of cigarette smoke is pretty thick. I would hate that. I hate that smell. The area is far from seedy, though, and it's a little amusing to see Lily's reaction to the smell of smoke. While it's masked by the low talking of those around us, jazz music can be heard emanating from inside. Looking up at the dimly lit sign, it becomes obvious why. A jazz club, I have to admit, this isn't what I expected. Lily gives an amused snort and a smile. Somehow I feel I should have known it, Akira. As we talk outside, I notice more and more odd sideways glances directed our way. People awkwardly catch themselves staring and look away, but that just makes it more obvious. I had noticed this occasionally when we were walking, but it's more pronounced now. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. An average-looking Japanese teenage guy, just a little taller than normal, isn't the type to draw attention without making an effort. Hey, come on, just because you're teenagers doesn't mean you can't have a taste, right? Well, I don't really mind the music, if that's what you mean. I don't mind it either. She's only just managing to force the words out. It contrasts heavily to when we're alone in Yamaku, and it disappoints me a little she's so highly strung for what's supposed to be a good time out in the town. It's hard to read Hanako's face as she keeps looking downwards. It's little wonder if she doesn't often come out into the city because of this, and it makes me a little thankful that my own scarring is easily hidden. Lily has a similar way of attracting people's gazes, but the reason for it is clearly different. She hardly looks like a native, and the same can be said for her sister. That much is far more noticeable than her blindness from a distance. She may not be able to see this for herself, but I have little doubt she can hear the odd whispered phrase from people who think they're out of earshot. Be that as it may, she doesn't seem to show any sign of either annoyance or pleasure at the attention. Akira is still as confident as ever, though. Flashing a smile, she strides in with Lily by her side and the two of us following behind. I'd expect my eyes to need adjusting to the light inside, but it's not much brighter than outside. The music we'd heard is clearer now, mixing with the sound of glasses moving on the tables and counter and the husky chatter of the patrons. Looking to my right reveals the music's source, a jazz group playing beyond some tables. This doesn't seem like a good place to bring Hanako. There's a lot of people here. The patrons seem to be mostly men, and though there's a handful of women, nobody looks under 30, aside from us, of course. Feels a little like we step into the 1920s, but the atmosphere is quite agreeable. I'm not completely comfortable simply because of my age, but were I older, I would probably feel quite at home. Hanako seems a bit more relaxed now, probably due to nobody looking at her. Everybody's talking between themselves, drinking or watching the band. Oh, well, everyone disappeared. Akira casually takes a seat at the counter without even glancing around. She's probably come here before. Lily retracts her cane, feeling out the bar stool on the edge of the counter before taking a seat beside her sister. The bartender takes a brief break from polishing a glass to watch her before putting it down and coming over. Good evening, ladies. What'll it be? Just a scotch, thanks. Lily? May I have a glass of The black suit elbow hits her side sharply. Orange juice, please. No problem, coming right up. Bartender starts to pour their drinks. A couple of seconds pass before Akio suddenly remembers that Hanako and I are indeed here and turns around to us. You two want anything, or are you just going to stand there? Hanako seems to be getting a bit restless. No matter where we're going to seat ourselves, there's going to be people right next to her, and I don't think she looks convincingly older than 20, unlike Lily. Looking around, there's that game section to her right. A couple of billiards tables can be seen in the corner, and nobody's using them either. I glance at Hanako, about to ask her if she'd like to play, but she's already looking longingly in the same direction. Maybe it says something that we can get by with so few words nowadays. We'll go play pool over there. Akio leans back to see past me before shrugging and sitting back up. It seems you have put up with only me for company. How unfortunate. Have fun, you two. We turn and set off for the abandoned corner with Hanako taking the lead. The prospect of a nice, quiet game away from everyone makes her walk noticeably faster. Her eyes stay firmly fixed on her prize. The table's full-size and well-lit despite the surrounding darkness, thanks to the bright overhead lights. A huge painting of something covers the wall. There aren't many people milling about this corner of the club, and I can see Hanako becoming a little less tense as a result. You know how to play? I'm no expert, but yeah, I do. Then, 8-ball? Sure. Hanako gets the chuck and 2 cues from a set of hooks against one of the walls, while I fetch the balls from the table's pockets and grab the rack from a shelf underneath. She patiently waits as I get the table set up. After slotting the final ball into the rack and doing some last adjustments, I end up having to fight my perfectionist urges in getting the bottom row of balls exactly perpendicular with the edges. With the balls arranged and ready to play, I step back and take my cue from her outstretched arm. I carry out a quick inspection of the tip before I'm satisfied that it's in good condition. So you played before? Well, once or twice. I just kind of know the rules. The air between us feels a little awkward. She's still pretty nervous, understandably, given that we're in public. Eventually, the silence becomes too much even for Hanako, and she begins to quietly stammer. Who'll break? I think for a moment before reaching into my pocket and drawing a coin. I'll take heads, your tails. After a nod of agreement from Hanako, I flip the coin up in the air, catch it, and flip it over into the back of my left hand. Looks like it's you that gets the break. Hanako nods again before taking up her position at the end of the table. Whoops. I like that picture. She's not usually this quiet around me, but I'm not wholly sure if it's because of the tidbit of information about her past that slipped out moments ago. The cue comes back into a practiced gesture before smacking dead into the center of the cue ball with a thud, and the white ball skates across the smooth green expanse before smashing into the carefully arranged balls at the other end. Balls skitter across the table at high speeds. The break was good, with the balls being nicely distributed around the table. My eyes are already flicking from one to another to pick out the easiest candidates to pocket. Hanako retreats from the side, and I take my shot. Well done. It's only after Hanako says this that I realize the ball I was shooting at was sunk. I look at her and notice a small smile on her face. It's nice how playing games seems to loosen her up a little. Guess I'm stripes then. Take a step back and let her take the next shot, but she doesn't advance to the table. Rather, she looks down a little and rubs her eye. But now I can identify this as one of her gestures that means she wants to say something, but it isn't sure of... but isn't sure enough of herself to do it. What's up? It's just you had a nice smile. Do you like playing this? I sigh and lean back against the table. I like playing, yeah. I think I was smiling because it's really nostalgic, though. Yeah, it's kind of nostalgic for me. I used to play that pool game on, like, Yahoo Games way back in the day. Like, a lot. It was fun. Hanako tilts her head quizzically. Me and my friends used to play pool in the game center near where we live pretty often, and at night, too. Oop, mouse fell off again. Wouldn't your parents? My parents both worked, so they didn't mind me not being in the house. I stayed on top of schoolwork pretty easily as well, so there was plenty of time to do other stuff at night. Our conversation dies down with Hanako's timidly getting the better of her. Timidity getting the better of her. In response, I get off the table and let her take her turn shooting. Oh, she's smiling now. There aren't many solids in easy positions, so Hanako bends down and takes a while to line herself up properly. Hanako's expression is the same as when we played chess, a relaxed but focused concentration. Athletes sometimes talk about getting into a zone where nothing unnecessary enters their mind, and I wonder if that's something she can do. Her posture is good, better than mine to be sure. It's very close to a textbook method of playing, whereas I tend to contort myself into whatever position I feel is most natural for the shot I'm taking. She lines up the cue comes back, and she does a couple of practice movements to make sure she's lined up correctly. Hanako takes games so seriously. It's the only real hobby I know she has outside of reading. Feels good to be able to share this kind of experience with her. She takes the shot after careful consideration. The cue ball zooms off towards the ball, sitting at a slightly awkward angle near a corner. Hanako's careful preparation pays off as the cue ball hits and sends the ball rolling towards the corner pocket. For a moment it looks like it'll stop just on the lip of the hole, but it eventually tilts just enough to drop in. Man, that was a hard shot. If you can pull that off, I don't think I have much hope. I'm not that good. Man, it's just the shot, though. Even when lining it up, you look really serious. You're like this with chess, too. The praise makes her a little flustered. She sets the cue against the table and stands, turning to me. I just like those kinds of things. Her fingers are twisting and turning tightly. When I was in the orphanage, I just kept doing the things I liked before. If I played games with the others, that was enough for the helpers there, so... Never thought about it that way. Staff in an orphanage would naturally want to have everyone socializing at least a little. If it's okay for me to ask, what was it like for you at the orphanage? Why do you want to know? I've touched a nerve, but the fact that she responded at all shows there's at least a chance she'll answer my question. Before, she likely would have just shrunk away from it without a word. Drink time. Oh, it's so hot here again. I'll tell you, but... Could you tell me who Iwanako is? Iwanako? Oh, the letter. Wonder how long she's been waiting for the right opportunity to ask me this. I'm surprised, but don't hesitate. Sharing information is naturally a matter of give and take. She's someone I used to like. Her nervousness subsided, at least for the time it took to ask. Her curiosity is getting the better of her, and I feel a bit uncomfortable to be questioned on this, of all matters. There's no way I can spell out all my feelings about Iwanako here. I don't even know myself what my feelings regarding her are, even after talking to Yuko earlier, and I want to avoid the subject around Hanako. Hanako doesn't look overly satisfied with the awkward ending to the discussion, but thinks better of continuing it. She was only just managing to ask me in the first place, and without knowing I wouldn't want to talk about it. I moved to finally take my own shot. The lack of talking between us is filled by the chatter of other patrons and band at the other end of the club. Spying a shot that doesn't look too difficult, I try and shoot for it. The cue ball taps the ball. The trajectory is about right, but I put in too much power. It grazes the corner of the hole and moves off to the side, just skirting the pocket. I grit my teeth a little. I was pretty good at this game. It's frustrating to have deteriorated so much. I step back and let Hanako take her turn, glancing towards the counter, where Lily and Akio are sitting. They're talking busily between themselves and seem to be having a good time. I turn back to Hanako as she takes her shot. With the same face as before, she lines herself up and sharply pushes the cue. Just as before, she sinks the ball she was aiming for. It drops into the side pocket more cleanly than her last shot, though. It looks as if she's getting a bit more into the groove of the game. Nicely done. She hesitates for a moment and begins to address me without turning her head. The orphanage was nice and felt a bit like Yamaku does, and the staff was really kind. But as the years went on, I realized something. I was different. It feels strange to hear her speak so candidly about herself. She's audibly forcing the words out. It reminds me of when she insisted she tell me about the fire. Hanako must feel like she has to tell me of such things if I'm willing to tell her about my own past. Her grip on the queue tightens as she continues to speak. Most of the children there were up for adoption, just like I was, but unlike me, they gradually left one by one. By the time I went to Yamaku, I was among the oldest children there. For a while, I helped with some of the younger children, but eventually... I lay a hand on her shoulder. She's forcing herself by now. It's okay. She looks mildly surprised for a moment, then nods before setting down her cue and turning towards me. Do you really think so? Yeah, I think so. Even while Lily's away, I'll be around to protect you, right? Hanako looks at me for a long time, and I'm taken a bit off guard. Her expression hasn't changed from before, still looking somewhat maudlin, and silences between us aren't unusual. I feel like it's the fact that she's holding such a prolonged eye contact that makes this feel a bit odd. It feels as if she's judging me. It's a very strange, vaguely uncomfortable feeling. Hanako? I understand, thank you. She smiles and looks away a little, but it feels still that Hanako isn't very good at faking emotions, and this is no exception. I move to the table and take my turn to try and distract myself, but it doesn't seem to work. Does she think I'm not up to the task of helping her? Is she disappointed in me? I'm probably overthinking this, while her silences are just an accepted fact of life by now. Sometimes I do wish she'd speak more. With a thud, I send the white sphere careening towards the table into my target. Hanako sees what's happening just as I do. The ball hits hard with the striped ball I'd intended to sink, veering off towards the 8-ball. Sure enough, as both Hanako and I look on and bite our lips, they connect and the black ball rolls leisurely into a corner pocket. All I can do is sigh. It looks like Hanako is smiling again, though, so maybe it wasn't for naught. That was an awful shot. You win. It seems I'm getting pretty rusty after all this time. Hanako bends down and attempts to shoot the remaining balls into the closest pockets. It's almost as if we could play another game, but a quick check on my watch confirms that the night is getting pretty late. Lily and Akira appear to be still drinking at the counter. Seems like we'll have to drag them away. Hisao? I turn back to Hanako, who's still looking over the pool table shooting balls. Her voice sounds different from before. I'm here for you as well. Suddenly find myself blushing. It's only natural that she'd respond this way, given what I said earlier, but it's still a shock to actually hear it. Just what is my relationship with this girl? I want to protect her to make her happy. I'm not really sure that it's something like love, but I don't think these are the same kinds of feelings I have for Lily either. I feel sorry for her, having gone through so much in her life. Her parents died in a house fire. She lived in an orphanage for much of her childhood. I can't even imagine that kind of life. But I feel like there's so little I can do for her, especially now Lily is going to be leaving the country. Hanako and I finish tidying up the table and cues and pick up Lily and Akira on our way out of the club. Feels like something changed between Hanako and me. I can't quite place what it is, but Hanako is acting differently now. I feel like we're further apart, if anything. So you enjoy yourselves? Hanako and I both nod and agree. The game was good, and we both did learn more about each other, so it's an honest answer. Lily appears to be a little distracted. Worried about the trip, Lily? She pauses before sighing and smiling weakly. A little, it means quite a bit. The comment earns her a clap on the shoulder from her sister. Hanako smiles back, too. You'll be okay, Lily. I hope you can enjoy your time over there. Thank you, Hanako. I'll try. It will be nice to be back with my family, after all, no matter how brief a time it may be. With that, the four of us begin to walk to the car park where Akira's car is. We continue to talk between ourselves, but it's mostly just small talk. Alright then, are you taking the bus, Lily? Lily motions to a large suitcase standing beside her. I'll have to take this with me, so I booked a taxi. It'll meet us at the school gates in about 5 minutes. I see. Lily reaches down and feels out the handle of her suitcase. Its weight causes her some difficulty, so I quickly offer to take it myself. That is awfully kind of you, Hisao. She has no qualms about accepting, and I end up picking it up. It's not what I'd call light, but it's not exactly heavy either. I don't think I'll have too much trouble carrying it. Well, thank you then. We should hurry, though. If the taxi leaves, then it will take quite a while to book a new one. Are you ready, Hanako? Yeah, let's go. We rush to the gate as fast as we can, only to find that the taxi has yet to arrive. Well, nothing like a bit of exercise in the morning. The nurse told me that I should be doing that. I think you probably had other things in mind, Hisao, and probably with more regularity. Do you intend to keep helping people with their luggage every day? I guess not. Looks like we've got a bit of wait anyway. How long should we wait for the taxi before calling them again? I would say another 10 minutes, but they've never let me down before. There's probably just a little traffic. Okay then. So, how long is the flight to Scotland? About 16 hours. Ugh. If I remember correctly, it's a bit hard to tell with the changing time zones. So long. Yeah, that sounds terrible. So now that I realize Hanako's been unusually quiet even for her, she doesn't handle stress well, she's looking pretty uptight. I mean, I can't imagine being on a plane for that long. I've only ever flown a short family holiday up north, so it is really quite hard to fathom if Hanako spent so much of her childhood in an orphanage. She's probably traveled very little, let alone flown. I flew to Latvia once, and I don't remember much of it, but I remember being bored on the plane ride. It's not too bad. I'll spend most of it either asleep or catching up on my English. I hardly use that here, so I'll need to refamiliarize myself with it a little. Will your accent be a problem? I wouldn't worry about that too much. It may be an issue initially, but I should be fine once I get used to it. We all moved to sit down on the small bench beside the school gate in silence. Strangely enough, even though I know that Lily is going away, I can't think of anything to say to her. Lily is a reliable person, so it might be because she isn't the one that I'm thinking of most. Lily might not be able to see it, but Hanako is chewing her fingernails nervously. I move to talk to her, but I can't. But I can hear an engine straining up the hill before I get the chance. I think the taxi's on its way. Well spotted, Hizao. I only just heard it as well. A small wave of pride washes over me. To have noticed something at the same time as Lily must mean that I've become more aware of my surroundings. Anyway, we won't have to call the taxi company, nor worry about missing Lily's train. Once the taxi stops where we're standing, the driver rolls down a window and leans over. After confirming that yes, Lily is the same Lily Seto that booked the trip, we sort out her luggage. The driver opens the trunk of the taxi and takes Lily's suitcase, with Lily climbing into the back seat as he loads it into the trunk and slams it shut. After getting back into his seat and shutting the doors, he waits for us to say our farewells. Have a safe trip, Lily. Take care of yourself. Hanako looks understandably downcast, and that much is obvious even in her voice. Of course I will. I'll be back before long, don't worry. There will still be another person here for you too, won't there, Hizao? Yeah, of course. I smile and turn to Hanako, putting my hand on her shoulder. She only manages to keep eye contact with me for a couple of seconds, her cheeks red all the while, before turning back to Lily. See you, Lily. Goodbye. Lily gives her farewells to the both of us with a fair measure of reluctance. Without further ado, the driver starts the engine once more, and I begin our journey down the hill and towards the airport. Two of us stand at the gates for a long time, even after they disappeared from sight, not really knowing what to do. So, what do you want to do? I don't know. Do you want to go into the city? Jeez. Create a save state. The music stopped, and that's worrying. How about we call it a day? What would be even, like, what would that encompass? Would that encompass, like, going back and playing chess, or just, like, you know, just splitting off and going back to our own dorms, or going to the city doesn't seem like a very smart thing to do. It's the middle of the day, but, I mean, like, I'm gonna try going to the city, because oops, oh, yes. Because I'm just assuming that call it a day means we're going to split off and go back to our own dorms without doing anything, so I'm going to try this. The bus stops, standing by the school gates like a mute sentinel, puts a strange idea in my mind. Do you want to head into town and look for a bookshop or something? We have the rest of the day free. It's a long shot, as Hanako doesn't like going to the city. I count the fact that we managed to get her out there even when it was so dark as a small miracle, but I genuinely want to spend more time with her. In a way, she's likely to just refuse and go back to... Okay, oh, I did it. Really, let's go. I can't work out why Hanako has decided to agree with me, but I'm not about to ask her to change her mind. Stepping off the bus, I immediately noticed that a lot of people are around us. In hindsight, it should have been obvious. Of course, lots of people will be downtown on a Saturday afternoon. Hanako retreats close to my side, and I can feel her hand clutching my arm tightly. Her body is held against mine, and her head is bowed so low that her hat hides most of her scarring. So, where shall we go? A bookshop? Hanako's present and my other general living expenses have pretty much drained my budget, but I should be able to afford a few books, and it's something I try and reserve a few funds for anyway. For a second I think Hanako didn't hear me, but then I looked to my side and noticed her nodding almost imperceptibly. Okay, do you know of one? Actually, I do. We passed a few when Lily and I were looking for your presents. Hanako's expression clouds a fraction. I gotta remember to stop bringing up her birthday. You spent a lot of time? Maybe I misjudged the situation. We wanted to make sure we got the right present after all. Hanako smiles and blushes a bit. It's a small treasure when she does. Anyway, there should be a bookshop just up ahead. Do you want to check it out? Sure. The crowd starts to build as we head towards the bookshop. Along the raised walkways, Hanako latches her other arm onto me as well, making our progress a little slower. As we walk, the sound of traffic makes me think of possible distraction for her. I was wondering, Hanako, have you thought yet about when you're going to learn to drive? Driving? Yeah, you're kind of lucky in a way. There aren't a whole lot of students in Yamaku that are allowed to drive. It's not the best topic of conversation, but I want to try and distract Hanako from the situation. She's really highly strung right now. But again, all I've really done is make her feel awkward, since she's probably never thought about it. I wish I hadn't said anything. Whoop. I accidentally went back and then clicked. Before long, we are before one of the bookshops Lily and I passed during our search. What kind of self-respecting bookshop closes on Saturdays? Bookshops don't make much money anymore because of the internet. Maybe they just had to close over weekends. And she seems pretty knowledgeable about technology. I guess it's a pursuit that would lend itself well to someone who enjoys solitude. I guess that makes sense. It's easier to find books online. Anyway, it looks like this idea is shot. Anything else you'd like to do? If it's not a bother, could you show me where you bought my present? Sure, not a problem. It's not far from here. I head off in the direction of the store, only half sure of its exact location. I don't want to repeat it last time, spending half a day walking around aimlessly. Here we are, Othello's Antiques. It's small. Well, yes, it took Lily and I some time to find it. Can we go in? I don't see why not. It's open. Hanako pushes through the door and enters before me. Once again, the store is empty, save for the store owner. His face drops a little when he sees me. No, you're not here for a return, are you? Wait, that's not the girl you had with you last time. No, we're not here to return anything. We were just in town and wanted to have another look in here. The store owner considers this for quite a long time. I guess he's not used to high school students coming to his shop on a regular basis. Might this be the friend you brought gifts for? That's right, they were presents for her. The store owner turns to Hanako, who freezes on the spot like a deer caught in the headlights. He moves to address her, but stops before doing so, looking a little taken aback. He catches himself staring and looks to the side, addressing us indirectly. His expression is awkward and tense, as is his entire body. I want to be mad at him, but I know full well that I had the same instinctive reaction when I first saw her. First surprise, then curiosity, then an awkward look away as I dealt with what I'd seen. Hanako looks less panicked than before, but I think the feeling she's giving off now is worse. It's not anger nor annoyance. If anything, it's one of apology. You're lucky there, young lady, to have friends that care about you as much as they do. Thank you. If I hadn't spent so much time with Hanako, I wouldn't even ever realize that she said anything. Then again, the store owner's mumble was hardly clear either, thanks in part to being directed away from us. Hanako strikes out into the store, gazing in wonder at the various items on display. She finds the doll section and spends lingering minutes studying each and every one. It's a side of Hanako I've only barely been introduced to. I was astonished when Lily said she liked dolls, and even more so to find her collection sitting on her dresser. Yeah, all 2 dolls now. She looks a little better now, and she's distracted and out of the store owner's sight, but I'm still quite put off by the whole experience. I might have my own problems, but I've never had strangers react to me like that, as if I was something completely alien to them. This is a nice shop. Man, it's not what I expected. Do you want to buy some? I didn't bring any money. Well, we can always come again. Now that I know where to find it, that is. We can? Of course, we can come here as often as you like. Thank you. You don't need to thank me. I almost forgot where this place was. I don't really think either of us completely believes in what we're saying, but rather we're just repeating what we think we should say. Can we go back to the school now? Sure thing, let's go. As we leave for the bus stop, I see the store owner peek through the curtain at the back of the shop. Not really sure what that glance he gives to her says. It feels a bit weird, and the fact that Hanako didn't see it is both a relief and a bit frustrating. Hanako and I stop walking once we reach the concrete area between the dormitory buildings. There is barely a word said between us on the way back from the city. Well then, goodbye. Do you want to have some tea or something? How about a game? Hanako shakes her head embarrassedly. I'm tired. Maybe later. I've got homework. She sounds a little depressed. Hanako obviously does want to do more, but I suppose she would have a bit of schoolwork to catch up on. She's missed a few days of lessons. Homework. Thanks for reminding me. I got a stack to do as well. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. See you, Hiza. Why don't you go do your homework together? Okay. Before I can say goodbye, Hanako has turned and begun walking towards the entrance to the female dormitory building. I look at the door she disappears through for a bit before going off towards my own dorms. Today was a tiring day. Oh, chapter change? Yep. Wonder what would have happened if I didn't go with her to the... Scars. If I didn't go with her to the city. And the chapter changed at the perfect time. 40 minutes, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.